About a week ago, I wrote a song called Suicidal Thoughts. This is part two. If you haven't listened to that song, I highly recommend or suggest that you go back and listen to that song first. Kind of give you a background context to the lyrics of this song. Even if you've heard it already, maybe refresh yourself on it. I'll put a link in the description box. Go ahead and click that link and then come back and listen to this song. This is Suicidal Thoughts Part 2. So here we go. Joe returned and found that Bob had slit his own throat and both of his wrists, and left Frank tied to the fence beside an empty bowl. After phoning the police and the coroner, he called up his girlfriend and warned her not to tell their mother since she was 81 years old. She had a weak heart and was in bad health, and if she found out that Bob had killed himself, Joe knew that she would not be very far behind. Bob and Joe were her only kids. She was widowed back in '86 when their father was killed after touching a hot power line. Frank looked up at Joe with sad eyes. He had not been the same since Bob had died, and Joe placed his hand on Frank's head as he frowned. Then Joe visualized a checkered cab and thought maybe New York wasn't all that bad, and asked Frank, how does a move to the Big Apple sound? Joe was thinking about pawning his gun, but he realized that he may need one in his new line of work in the big city. His feelings about Bob changed from day to day, from love and sadness to anger and hate, but most of all he couldn't help but to feel pity. Since the war, Bob had not been the same. In his mind he was still playing war games with the opioids and the PTSD. And now Joe wonders what else he could have done, as he looks at Frank and the loaded gun and questions his own sanity. Joe returned and found that Bob had slit his own throat and both of his wrists, and left Frank tied to the fence beside an empty bowl.